This is a video on getting a control arm out of a Chevy Cobalt. Mine's a 2009. You can see I got all the other things loose, but basically the back back bolt back there is essentially seized to the bushing that's in there, the inner bushing housing that touches the bolt. I've been able to get the I've gotten one off, so that's why I'm doing a video on the other side here, because I'm running into the same problem. Just thought I'd tell you how I did it. But basically what you have to do, hopefully you can turn the bolt. If you can't turn the bolt, then that's a whole nother problem. But I was able to turn the bolt and get it to the point where I've got it completely through the nut on the top. One thing I found handy is I've got one of these little cable cameras. And what you can do is put that up inside, see if I can see it through here. Can't really see it back there, but well, yeah, right there, that metal part on the bottom, the more bright colored one. Behind that is where that nut is. So I ran that little cable camera up in there so I could see the top of the bolt. And then as I loosened it, I was able to watch that and see it come out. I'll show you a picture on my wife's phone here. So basically that's a picture of the bolt once it's loosened as far as I can go. What I found was, as long as I can see about, or for sure see 3 threads at the lower part of the top of that bolt, then I know it's completely unscrewed. The reason I know that is because if I went a little bit farther, because I found that it made a big popping noise, which is basically the bolt, jumping off the top of the thread and back down. So once you get to that point, ultimately you're faced with cutting this puppy out. I got a recommendation from someone online, had another video about a bit. It's a $22 bit, but it's well worth it for your Sawzall. It's a Diablo 9-inch thick metal. Make sure you go for the thick metal one. It did a great job of cutting through the bolt and the bushing. And then one thing I would do, just as a piece of advice, is when you're cutting down here on that bushing, cut as high as you can. As high as you can up here to on the bottom side of that. That way you'll cut part of the bushing out. So basically you're cutting right through the bushing. Here's my bushing here, and through the base of the bolt. So this was through here like this. It took a little bit of beating on it to get it to separate and come out, but ultimately then the bolt dropped out. Luckily it wasn't seized at the very bottom, I guess. But that way when you do that, then you've got a little bit of room to put a pry bar on top up here and push the control arm down so that you can have room on the top side to cut the top of the bolt. But basically once I got done cutting it, here's the rest of the bolt. So this was the bottom side that I cut, and then this is the top side, which I cut just a little bit above the bushing itself. So and the bolt is long, so you do have to cut the bottom and the top. But ultimately, like I said, you're getting the threads down far enough so that you won't have to turn this after you get this all out, because if you have to do that, you'll be dealing with a channel lock or a grip pliers or whatever, and these puppies don't come out easy. So you'd want to do it is use the nut at the bottom of it to get it out as far as possible. But once you cut the bottom, like I said, you might need a little work to get that out. You might end up having to cut at a slightly different angle to break that apart so it will fall out. But once you get that nut out of the way in the bottom of the bushing, then you can pry here, push that down farther, and then get the Sawzall up in top and cut that out. And then once you got that cut, then you can pull that control arm out, and then hopefully you've unscrewed this puppy far enough so that it just the little twisting or wiggling, it'll just fall out, and then you are free. So it's a sucky job, but It was the only thing I could do at this point, is to cut it out. Oh, and then also for the to get a little bit of room in there, I grabbed the whole wheel assembly here on this side, you can see, and I used a wire to basically pull it forward, so I had a little bit more room, you know, to get the Sawzall in here and cut that out of there. So hopefully this helps, but definitely spend the money on that blade. It is definitely worth it. The guy that did the other video, he said he went through 10 other blades before he, you know, and he only got about halfway through the bolt, and then he got this one, and you know, it takes a couple minutes to get through it, but especially when you're cutting, you know, through the entire bushing. But that blade did an amazing job, and I highly recommend it. Anyway, that is it. Good luck. Hopefully this helps you out.